It's FOMO, 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 FOMO. Why do you think this is? I used to fall victim to FOMO in the markets. Thank God. I never blew up an account. Just to be clear, we're not talking about blow up like a balloon. I'm talking about blowing up like a bomb. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Joseph Martin. Hit that like and subscribe button to support the channel and hit that bell icon to receive notifications. Have you ever heard about an amazing party after the fact, only to find out about all the exciting things you've missed, to the point you tell yourself, I bet you I won't miss the next one. I can't miss the next one. And you become obsessed with being there. You start asking and telling all your friends about it, threatening them like, you better make sure you tell me about the next one. Because now you've gotten to where you're actually afraid you'll miss it. In trading, when making money feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it goes beyond being afraid. It becomes an overwhelming fear, and the name for this is FOMO. In this video, we'll explain what it stands for and dive deeper into the psychological and emotional trap. Why is it something most traders fall into, and what I've learned through years of study and experience to avoid it. But before we do, let's go to our disclaimer. The content in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed financial advisor, and nothing shared here should be considered financial advice. Always conduct your own research and consult with a licensed financial professional before making any investment decisions. All securities, trades, and positions shown are for demonstration purposes only. Investing involves risk, and any financial decisions you make are solely your responsibility. First and foremost, what does FOMO stand for? FOMO is an abbreviation for fear of missing out. This term defines the experience of someone becoming fearful that if they don't quickly jump into something that they believe is an opportunity, that they'll miss out on it. Ultimately, their emotions get the best of them. And to reduce the potential for these negative emotions to grow, from having to face the reality of not jumping in and finding out later what they missed out on, they jump. A lot of people have experienced this, not just in the markets, but in their lives, even if they didn't know it was FOMO. And some of them never find a way to develop the ability to control their emotions to avoid falling victim to it. The reason I believe most people aren't able to avoid FOMO is because they're only admitting to it after they've made a decision that didn't go the way they wanted it to. If it did, the reasons they tell themselves it worked out would be something along the lines that would boost their ego. In trading, it would be something along the lines of, I'm the greatest trader in the world. See, I knew that was a great trade. I knew I was right. Me, etc., etc. But if they lose, it's FOMO. It's not that they're the worst trader in the world. It's not because it was a bad trade. And it could never be because they were wrong. It's FOMO, 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 FOMO. Why do you think this is? Because their ego is blaming their emotions for causing them to take actions that didn't produce the results they wanted. So the main reason I believe people have a hard time overcoming FOMO is because they don't truly understand the definition. The fear of missing out is being fearful that if you don't jump quickly into something you believe is an opportunity, you'll miss out on it. By definition, FOMO isn't something that only happens when you lose money, but that's the only time that most people admit it. If you were motivated by fear to jump into a trade because you believed you were going to miss out on this opportunity to make money and you made money, it's still FOMO. FOMO is defined by the motivation behind your actions, not the results, which means that the results can be positive or they can be negative and still qualify for FOMO. Truly understanding what FOMO is and what it isn't is key. FOMO isn't what your ego wants it to be. It is what it is. Being able to hold yourself accountable frees you to be able to be honest, allowing you to shut off your ego and turn on humility. I used to fall victim to FOMO in the markets. Thank God. I never blew up an account. Just to be clear, we're not talking about blow up like a balloon. I'm talking about blowing up like a bomb, losing almost everything, if not everything, in my brokerage account. I wasn't able to develop all of the things that most people tell you the root cause of FOMO is, like emotional control, discipline, and patience until I discovered what the real issue was. It wasn't the fear of missing out. It was the fear of missing an opportunity. This is why new traders falling victim to FOMO is so high. They have yet to develop the skill and experience of finding opportunities. That's why when they find one, the fear of not being able to find another one causes them to jump in a single opportunity and throw everything they have at it. Think about it. If you had more opportunities than you had the money and time to take advantage of, you wouldn't risk your entire account on one. So if you're constantly experiencing FOMO, it's usually because you haven't developed the skills of recognizing, seeking, finding, and capitalizing off opportunities. It's 4 separate skill sets. And until you gain all 4, you won't be able to develop emotional control, discipline, and patience in those areas, because the real issue is rooted in a lack of skills. And the most important one is recognizing an opportunity. Good luck at recognizing something if you don't know what it looks like. Seeking something and you don't know what it looks like. Finding it and you don't know what it looks like. And then having a system to profit from something that you don't know what it looks like. People could, well, that's crazy business. People that constantly experience FOMO don't know what an opportunity looks like. If they did, they'd recognize it long before it seems so obvious that now they're fearful that they'll miss it and never find another one. No wonder why you're struggling, right? So the first steps to conquering FOMO are understanding what it is, holding yourself accountable, and turning off your ego. The first skill you need to develop is recognizing an opportunity. How successful do you think a rabbit hunter would be if they had no idea what a rabbit looked like? And lacking this ability is actually a double-edged sword. It's not just the idea of hunting the wrong thing. It could also be that you're hunting everything. Ultimately, you're trading in the markets blindfolded with money. And if it moves and you believe you can make money on it, you trade it. Similar to the analogy that everything looks like a nail to a hammer. Everything can look like a rabbit to a hunter that doesn't know what a rabbit looks like. Profitable traders with years of experience understand that just because there's an opportunity to trade doesn't mean that there's a trade presenting an opportunity. That may sound like the same thing, but I assure you that it's not. Just because the market is open doesn't mean you're going to find a trade that fits your strategy and puts the odds for profit in your favor. The best trades you're ever going to make are the ones you pass on because you didn't see them as an opportunity. Even if they move in a direction you would have profited from after you passed on the trade, it doesn't matter, because you have to recognize the odds are in your favor before they play out, not after. If you can't calculate the probability of odds being in your favor or not, you're not speculating. You're blindly guessing. You are blind. If you flip a quarter and it lands on heads 10 times in a row, are the odds higher that it will land on tails the 11th time you flip it? The answer is no. The chances were exactly the same every time you flipped it. It's a 50% chance of landing on heads, and it's a 50% chance of landing on tails. And people who don't understand probability think that their odds for winning increase the longer their losing streak. There's a term for this, and it's called gambler's fallacy. This misconception. This misconception causes people to think that past events influence future events. I'll put a link for the video up on the screen when it's done, where we're going to investigate and answer the question, is trading and investing gambling? In events where the outcome is random, each occurrence, past and present, will always be independent of the others. Guys, I'm going to tell you a simple truth about life. Sometimes the only experience you gain is getting better at losing or doing something the wrong way. In fact, you can become proficient at it, a professional loser. You don't just get better by doing something for a long time. You get better by having a system for learning from results of your actions. In other words, a system for learning from mistakes and successes. After you've learned how to recognize an opportunity, the next step is developing the skill of seeking them, knowing where to look. Most brokerages offer scanners, also known as screeners, on their trading platforms. What this does is search the market for whatever you tell it to look for. If you notice, these skills are building on one another. Because if you don't know how an opportunity looks, learning how to use a scanner wouldn't be much help. It would be like Miss Swan from Mad TV giving a description to the police of a guy who robbed a store. The officer asking her, like, what did he look like? And she like, he looked like a man. With a description like that, the police would be locking up every man on the street. By the way, that skit is hilarious. You should check it out if you ain't never seen it. So let's go to the ThinkorSwim platform so I can give you a quick look at their scanner. The ThinkorSwim platform is offered by Charles Schwab Brokerage, and we are under the Scan tab under the Stock Hacker sub tab. And this is what it's going to look like when you first open it up. And I'm going to do a video where I'm doing a full tutorial on how to use this Stock Hacker scanner. But right now, I just want to give you a quick overview. Right now, we are under the all of the following condition group. And that area is right over here where it says add condition group. So if I click on it, you can see you can't select it. That's because it's already here. So these conditions are based on these filters right here. So where it says add filter, it already has 3 filters set up right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove those filters by just clicking on X. So if we were to just add a filter, that's how we would add it back. So that's the first condition. And what this means is that whatever filters you add, that stock has to meet every filter in order for it to show up in your scan. So now we're going to go back to add condition group. And now we're going to select none of the following. So under this condition, and the filters to add for this one would be right over here. They're set up the same way. So now it's in that group. So any filter that you add under the none of the following condition, if it finds it, it will not show in your scan. So you're telling it, if it meets these conditions, I don't want it. That's what that one does. So now if we go back up to add condition group, the third condition group is any of the following, is those specific conditions. Here's the filters for it. So whatever filters you add based on this one means that if it meets any of those conditions for those filters that you add, you want it to show up in your scanner. So you got to pay attention to how you use it to make sure that you have your condition groups right. But as you can see, that you can be very specific if you know what you're looking for. You can make this so specific that nothing will show because there's nothing that meets that specific thing you're looking for at that time. So you can go from having too many things show up to nothing showing up. And that's wonderful because that's basically telling you, just by using this tool, if you know what you're looking for, hey, there's not any opportunities that fit your strategy right now. Now imagine if you didn't put any time into finding out what an opportunity looks like and put money and time into learning how to use a scanner. How much sense would that make? So you know how to tell the scanner how to look for something, but you have no idea what you're looking for. The point I want to drive home to you is that you end up falling down the stairs when you start skipping steps. These skills work with one another. You need to know what to look for in order for a scanner to be useful. The last and final step in overcoming FOMO is knowing how to maximize the probability of profiting from an opportunity. Now that you have opportunities, you need to know what to do with them. This is where strategies come in. Let's go back to our analogy of hunting. You need to know what tools work best for what you're hunting. You shouldn't use a fishing rod to catch an elephant. You can't identify an opportunity without knowing what tools you would need to use to capitalize off of it. I'm going to say it again. You can't identify an opportunity without knowing what strategies you would need to use to profit from it. Fish shouldn't be considered opportunities if you don't have the tools or skill sets to catch them. Most courses I've paid for, taken or heard of, save lessons about strategies until the end of the course or the courses. They'll mention, don't get me wrong, they'll mention various strategies and their names and even how they're supposed to work, but not when and how to effectively apply them at the beginning of the course so you can even try to understand opportunities. Your trading needs to be specific to your strategy. Think about a gladiator or a warrior. They both train and engage in battle, but they don't use all the same weapons. How you train and fight with a bow and arrow would be different than the way you would fight with a sword and a shield. You need to understand your strategy to help determine the probability of profiting from an opportunity. Strategy should be one of the first things they teach, but they don't. And I believe that's because they haven't developed the system to recognize opportunities. Because if they had, it would become obvious you can't teach recognizing opportunities without at least one strategy to profit from it. So now you know, if you can't identify the potential to profit from it, it's not an opportunity. It's not. Knowing the names of a strategy and how it's supposed to work to extract money from the markets doesn't mean you're applying it to the right trade or investment. When you do that, that's when you know you're on the right track, because you're identifying opportunities before attempting to profit from them. You already have to learn how to filter out the noise in the markets. And if that isn't difficult enough, now there's noise in the education. There are a lot of people who know just enough about trading to throw a course together and sell it. And as long as you pay for it, that's all they care about. They know that it would be extremely difficult to prove that the course is ineffective because the markets are already known to be unpredictable. Now, you should have a much better understanding of FOMO, its root cause, and the skills you need to develop if you ever hope to overcome it. This video has been another reminder that education is where the money is. And the book for today is Critical Thinking Skills for Dummies by Martin Cohen. I became interested in learning more about critical thinking and logic from studying the life of the late Charlie Munger. Reading biographies of people in the field that you want to study is an excellent resource. Mr. Munger was an extremely successful investor and a business partner and lifelong friend, almost lifelong friend, of Warren Buffett for over 60 years. I checked this copy out from my local library, and if you're interested in reading it, I suggest you do the same. If you want to purchase it, I'll have an Amazon link down in the description, and it does help support the channel at no extra cost to you. You already know. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you earned something. Put your thoughts down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. And if you want to learn if shadowing portfolios of pros is worth it, check out this next video. Take care and God bless.